Hey guys, welcome back. Part 3 of the interview. So now today we're going to talk about how Dr. Bryan Saki creates his leadership and also his fame that he mentioned previously and his impact on this world. So with that, I'm going to introduce him as well as get him to introduce the organization that he created recently.
Yes, so as Ann mentioned, my name is Bryan Saki, or Dr. Saki again, whichever you feel more comfortable saying. As I mentioned before, I work as a clinical pharmacy specialist. Now, extracurricularly, or at least on the side, which is now sort of turned into more of my pretty much larger
A part-time job.
Yeah, part-time job responsibility has been the 501c3 nonprofit organization called Pharmacy Initiative Leaders, or PILS Incorporated. We'll talk a little bit more about sort of how to get there, but it's been a baby of mine for a while, something that sort of was birthed during the pharmacy school.
And then how did that idea started for you?
Yeah, so it was really based on my own personal journey, sort of the areas that I felt I struggled with on my journey or my process of getting into pharmacy school. If you saw the earlier videos, I mentioned before that my grades were horrible in undergrad. I sort of didn't feel like I had a lot of guidance or mentorship with both navigating undergrad as well as getting to pharmacy school. And I think even later on, sort of after pharmacy school, I wish I had a little more guidance as far as which direction to go. But it was the beauty of sort of what made PILS relevant and why PILS was developed. So as an undergrad student, one thing I noticed that the process of sort of what happens if I don't feel like I'm a good candidate, or you're not really sort of the standout candidate, right? Bad grades, didn't get the highest PCAT score, interviewing skills that you probably should master. Those key things is what, as a pharmacy student, after I sort of navigated, got through it, so you know what, I think it would be important for people who may have experienced the same thing I experienced coming to pharmacy school to have some sort of resource to tap into. And particularly, I approached it from the minority standpoint. I felt that, at least from the people that I try to reach out to, as far as minorities, I didn't think I had enough resources there. So I wanted to make sure that I targeted some of that population or that audience that sometimes feels like they don't have anyone else to talk to, right? They feel like, well, the landscape of pharmacy may not look like them, so they feel like, well, I don't know where to get the resources for them.
It's a strange world.
Right.
So I know personally you had some challenges
Yes.
As you've gone through the undergrad to pharmacy school phase, and you hear some negative naysayers, like, you can't do this, you're not fit to do this. So can you elaborate a bit more for the audience?
Yeah. So if you recall from the other videos, a lot of what happens when you go into pharmacy school is like, hey, make sure you don't fail out. Make sure you get your grades and don't mess that up. For me, yes, I wanted to get the grades, but I also wanted to make some sort of impact. Again, I'm usually charged by things that I see that maybe, could operate in a better way, right? And usually from my own experience. So I was really, really passionate about getting this off the ground. And I think a lot of the naysayers would be both focus on your grades, as well as there's already programs like this. You don't really need anything like this. There's already mentorship programs. What is the need for this? Sort of the process of getting that together. The school's never gonna go for this. You sort of have to sell this, and how you're gonna fund it. A lot of that was sort of the biggest hurdles I had to kind of go through.
And how did you overcome kind of naysayers to become where you're at right now?
Persistence, just solely persistence. I think that if you look at a lot of the companies, a lot of the really well-progressing companies and well-established companies, the biggest denominator, underlying factor for their success is persistence. You have to sort of dig through these hurdles and these naysayers, or I don't want to make it seem like I had all these haters around me. It's just people who may provide really genuine feedback and may have concerns as to whether it will be successful or not, and they may be looking out for you and not wanting you to expend unnecessary energy. But I found that even times where it didn't make sense, the fact that I was persistent allowed it to develop into what it is today. So persistence is probably the biggest key. You also sort of have to do a lot of work on your own, right? So before you bring people in, you need to have a strong foundation of what you want to do, right? That allows a better buy-in from others. It allows people to, as long as you have your mission and your vision, people to sort of help you create that, you know? That is, the absence of that is where I think you have a lack of direction. When you try to develop something, you sort of just jump into, I have an idea, I want to jump into it. If there's no mission or vision, if there's no clear direction, that sort of could derail the whole opportunity or plan altogether from the beginning.
The idea. So how is PILS different from other pharmacy organizations? And I'll start with that.
Yeah, so I always want to make it clear that with PILS, as I was developing it, I wanted to make sure that it was synergistic or an additive to what we already have out there. I didn't want it to replace anything. I didn't want it to feel like it's another sort of duplicate of a service we already have out there. I think one key thing that stands out about PILS is it's more so as a standing resource for you, for those who are in any stage of their pharmacy career. So whether you are a pre-pharmacy student, whether you're a high school student, or you're a working professional in a particular field within pharmacy, and you may want to transition between the fields, it's a resource for you. And it sort of allows you to sort of go there first and determine, all right, where do I want to go, right? You go to the PILS website and it helps you determine, well, who do I contact or where do I go in order to switch career fields? Where do I go to find out information about what kind of schools, what do I need to do to prepare myself to be a good candidate, postgraduate opportunities, things like that. So the goal is for you to start there, and then hopefully you are able to branch out to the more specific areas of pharmacy that may help you based off of the journey you're looking for, or whatever goal you're looking for.
So how did you get PILS off the ground? What are some of the, usually when you start something new, there's always challenges. So let's talk about the challenges first, the struggle that you have to start with. Because, you know, in pharmacy school, they don't teach you business. So how do you even start this 501c organization? And how do you decide it's a nonprofit or profit?
Yes. So the biggest initial challenges from the student perspective was to get buy-in from the faculty. So I had to actually prepare a plan and present it to the deans, and then I had to get an advisor, then finance. Those are the three biggest things. And you know, when I started it, it was more like, hey, we can't fund you, but we'll allow you to do it. So then I had to, essentially, honestly, I had to use a lot of my student reimbursement money to be able to put together like workshops, events, and things like that. So finance was a big hurdle. And then afterwards, when I decided to take it nationally, it sort of, that's where a lot of the paperwork came in, right? Because in order for it to be sustainable, I figured that I had to move it into some sort, or develop it into some sort of corporation. And so the decision between nonprofit and for-profit was pretty much a mission. You know, the goal was to impact individuals. Again, the initial focus was minorities or underrepresented communities, and but I wanted to make sure it's inclusive of everyone, right? That allowed you to sort of focus in or use that as one of the objectives or sort of listens that they have for nonprofit classification. And so I did that and developed the website. And then initially, you know, you're using your own funding. That was a bit, that was some challenge. But the good thing with nonprofits.
How much funding did you have to kind of shove out initially, and then how do you continue on that fundraising efforts?
Yeah. Do you want the real number?
Or just an estimate amount for those who are interested to start a nonprofit?
Yeah, so it
all depends.
Yeah, so to start a nonprofit, a lot of the paperwork is not expensive, honestly. It's like, I think they changed it now where it's about $250, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But it's not that expensive to get the paperwork in the IRS. And then trademark, I believe that's another $250 or so, if you have a logo you want to trademark. But then putting on events, right? Before you have grants and sponsorship, that can range depending on how elaborate you want it to be. But I found myself using probably about, altogether from pharmacy school to now, probably anywhere between 10 to 15K. Don't let that deter you at all. It's an investment, right? And you will get that money back, especially when you do start to apply for grants and sponsorships and so forth. You're able to sort of, I guess, recuperate from that loss, quote unquote loss. But any sort of organization or company, there's going to be some level of investment to start it. So, yeah, the expense can be burdensome initially, but I could have honestly probably also did it with way less money. I think for me, I was more so determined to get it done, and so I was willing to shelve a large amount of money to get there. But I probably could have honestly done it with probably 2K, honestly.
Right. And on the flip side, what is the rewarding part of PILS, and what is, can you quantify the impact thus far?
Yeah, so the most rewarding thing, honestly, is seeing people, again, that may have gone through my same journey or started out similar to me, and seeing them really benefit and seeing future leaders develop because they now have some sort of resources that they can tap into to assist them in whatever goal that they have. Again, we do have APHA, SNAFA, and I encourage everyone to continue using those organizations. But for those who may not be too familiar with those organizations or are looking for something a little bit more personal, PILS has helped them. It's been very, very rewarding. And I think it's been pretty awesome too, seeing the selfless acts of a lot of these pharmacists and peers who are willing to, contribute to this organization. Like Ann, she's an ambassador, and if you go on the site, ambassadors are pretty much different pharmacists in different fields where you can connect with and just ask questions and so reach out to. And it's been really, really amazing seeing so many pharmacists get involved with the organization and really help other people. So that's probably the most rewarding. Quantifying it, I think it's hard to look at the numbers, right?
How many events have you had thus far? If
Yeah.
you can kind of count.
Yeah, so we've had 2 events during mid-year so far. So this is really a relatively new organization. It was birthed officially in 2016. But we had 2 events in mid-year so far. We've had 4 webinars for both fellowship and residency preparation. We've had a scholarship that we initiated last year. We were able to award 2 applicants $1,000 to pursue their postgraduate training. And we've made numerous connections on our site through our ambassador programs.
So that's pretty amazing for the short number of years that you've kind of been in quote unquote business, right?
Thank you.
Like you're not touching, it's sometimes the price, you can't put a price on the impact on the individual level, like those are priceless, right? Like the connection, the emotional support, the mentorship, just overall the networking opportunities that each ambassador provides, but also individuals that come to the site and the organizations.
Yep.
So what is your vision in the next 5 years for PILS?
So vision-wise, I want to continue expanding. I want it to be a very resourceful site or service for anyone across the nation, then expand globally. I want to be able to impact a lot of individuals or reach out to individuals who may be in different countries, who are looking to get into the field or trying to figure out, how do I connect with someone maybe in a different country or sort of get to a certain goal from this country. And it was really amazing when I was in ACCP. I met a lady from Nigeria who was trying to start a clinical program there, and her concern was that she just had no one to reach out to, no one to talk to out in the United States. And it wasn't up until she came to the conference for her to connect with someone. So having PILS being able to connect globally would be amazing.
Wow.
So.
And in addition to that, how did you kind of build the structure to get those involved? Because when you're a nonprofit, you have to have a board of directors to serve as kind of the sound board and make decisions. So how do you find those individuals, and what continued to keep you engaged on expanding PILS?
Yeah, finding individuals is a very organic process. Again, I was very sheltered on the organization. I wanted to it was my baby. I didn't want anyone to touch it until it was ready to be, touched. And so I was fortunate enough with the organizations that I was involved with, network with a lot of different individuals, a lot of awesome people, a lot of awesome leaders, peers, and so it was actually one of the few conferences I went to with SNAFA, where I met a friend who was actually a previous president of SNAFA, Joshua Blackwell, who I believe you know as well, with the Houston program. Met him at SNAFA. We also were mutually here in the same location in Houston. Told him about it. He was like, "This is amazing. I loved it. I love it, and I want to get involved as much as I can." Right? And from there, that's sort of where I started building the network of individuals. All I was really looking for is people who are passionate about what the mission and vision of the organization was. Less so, really honestly, it was less so about if you have the technical skills, more so about the passion. Because my biggest motto in life is let your passion be your drive. And that would create so many opportunities for you. When you're passionate about something, you would then later on incur the skills to be able to really perform or allow it to function to the highest capacity.
Right. And when you have the passion, you'll find ways. Even if the doors are closed, you crack it open and you'll crack it wide.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
It's definitely just like anything in life, but definitely I can see that passion and that fire within you want to propel it.
Yeah.
So for those that want to be involved, how do they get involved in PILS?
Yeah. So as far as I guess the service of PILS right now, it's really, again, it's a resource center. So as students, they always ask me, how do I get involved? Like really, as students, I want you to use the PILS as more of a resource. So you can tap into the website, which is pilsconnect.com. You can reach out to an ambassador for any questions. Now, right now, the way we sort of solicit our service is less so of a mentor-mentee relationship. It's more so what we call professional development advisors, or PDAs. So you can reach out to them, ask them a question, and sort of go from there to help you to navigate you professionally, versus forming this I guess structured relationship. SNAFA, APHA, ASHP, they have a lot of resources for that, and you should use that. For us, it's more so saying, hey, how do I get to a certain goal? And PILS will allow you to do that. Also, sign up for the newsletter. There's a lot of information, a lot of interest in news, highlighting other things or people within the field of pharmacy as well. Now, as a professional, we definitely would love individuals to get involved and be an ambassador. Again, Ann is one of our amazing ambassadors, which again, you're available to answer and ask questions or help answer questions from individuals across the nation.
Right. And then and you kind of alluded to this, but who do you think will benefit most from PILS? And for those individuals, how do they get a hold of an ambassador?
Sure. Anyone can benefit from PILS. Anyone in anything, whether again you're in pre-pharmacy, pharmacy, high school, anyone that you know that may want to get into the field of pharmacy but may need more information or some sort of guidance, they can definitely benefit from it. As well as those who are trying to transition within the field. So if you're going from, say, clinical pharmacy to fellowship, and you want some assistance, some guidance, you could definitely benefit from the website and some of the resources we have available. And yeah, so I forgot the second part.
No, I think that's definitely.
That was it?
Yeah,
okay.
That was good. Last questions. In terms of your success right now, do you think it's luck or skills or hard work?
It's a nice combination. I know it's cliche. But it's a really nice combination of all of that. To sort of categorize it or to rank it, I would say hard work is probably the first one. That kind of ties into the persistence piece of it. Hard work, then luck. Meeting the right people at the right time, being in the right place, right time. Even going to the school that I went to, all those things I think just lined up appropriately. I don't think I could have planned it. If I tried to plan it, it probably wouldn't have worked out the way it did. And then the last one is skills. At the end of the day, you need to hone in on these skills. First develop them, hone in on them, and continue to use it. I think skills is what allows it to sustain.
Right.
Getting it is the first two, it's hard work, and then some kind of luck. Skills is what allows it to sustain.
And continue on building that relationship and expand it further.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Bryan. So for those that are interested in PILS and get involved, especially what from a career journey in pharmacy. I think PILS is a great organization, and I'm very lucky to be a part of PILS ambassadors, and I think there are a lot of opportunities out there for other pharmacists to be involved. And for those that say you don't have time, PILS is one of those that's more ad hoc, right?
Yeah.
And then attending monthly meetings if your schedule allows. So it's something that is a great worthy cause, and it's something to start if you want to help others, especially other future pharmacists. So I'll include a website down below for you guys as well. And any questions or comments, please post and subscribe and share widely. Thank you guys. Take care.
Thank you.